we don't want anything telling us nothing. That is
I learned a lot.
the first major campaign I ever did. By then I had been pretty heavily involved in the I-49 campaign. Yes, that was a rematch. That was a rematch out in the direct campaign.
I was there for the record.
That's right.
That was before me.
Giving speeches, making appearances. Less than 0.4. See? 1990, I was trying to characterize walkthrough environmental candidates. And my friends Murray Lloyd, Skipper Dixon, Pat Sewell, prominent conservation.
All right, this is Robert Pugh.
I didn't want to talk about you just hearing if you
How are you?
Yes, ma'am. Hey, someone sitting there. Hello.
Commissioner Johnson.
Present.
Commissioner Jackson.
Commissioner Young. Commissioner Burrell. Commissioner Cawthorn.
Present.
Commissioner Gage Watts. Commissioner Talaferro.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Atkins.
Here.
Commissioner Chavez.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Lazarus.
Here.
Commissioner Epperson. All right, you have 9 present and 3 absent. That is a quorum.
Thank you. I would ask Commissioner Young to do the invocation and Commissioner Lazarus to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Please join me, if you wish, in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Join me in the pledge. Military, give a proper salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Young and Commissioner Lazarus. Next item.
That brings us to agenda additions, where we do have one item. I don't know if you have anything additionally, but if not, we do have one item as a potential agenda addition for the addition of a special resolution of recognition for Mr. Lamar Carter.
All right. Yes, this is a resolution that we need to put forward on the agenda. I appreciate you guys for voting for this. Thanks.
Make a motion to add this to our agenda.
Second.
Just need to do it with a public hearing real quick.
Yeah. Public hearing is now open on adding special resolution for recognition of Mr. Lamar Carter. Public can come up and talk in favor or talk against adding this to our agenda. Seeing no one, public hearing is closed. Now we can vote on adding this to our agenda.
And that passes with 9 in support, none in opposition, and 3 absent. And that brings us to citizens' comments, where citizens who wish to address the commission on any issue other than zoning are asked to fill out a comment card located in the chamber foyer and return to either the president or the clerk of the commission. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes, and I believe there are several that have been submitted.
Yeah, I'd like to suspend the rules to move up all the special resolutions. Some of our athletes have other events that they got to go to.
Second.
It's been moved by the chair, seconded by Commissioner Cawthorn to suspend the rules to move up the special resolutions. Is it by acclamation or we have to vote?
Acclamation.
It's by acclamation, okay. So, Mr. Clerk, let us go to our special resolutions.
Okay. Our first item is going to be the special resolution of recognition and appreciation for Mr. Kendrick Law. Would you like me to go ahead and read it now, or do you want to?
Yeah, he's here to
Make a motion
move
first?
to adopt.
Second.
Y'all come on up.
Yeah, here, I can read it down behind. Commissioner Johnson, do you want me to go ahead and read it? All right, a resolution of recognition for Kendrick Law. Whereas the Caddo Parish Commission is always pleased to recognize and honor those sons and daughters of Caddo Parish who've gone forth to gain singular and outstanding personal achievements, and in doing so reflect favorably and positively upon their home community. And whereas Mr. Kendrick Law, a Shreveport native and rising senior at Captain Shreve High School, has earned many honors during his junior year and 2021 track and field season. Whereas Mr. Law's awards and accomplishments this season included 2021 MVP for Male Track Award at the Wood Relays Track Meet at Southwood and Woodlawn, the 2021 Outstanding Male Track Award in Caddo Parish Relays Track Meet at Wesley Payne and Booker T. Washington. The 2021 District 15A first place champion in long jump, 100 meter dash, and 4x100 meter relay. 2021 District 15A runner-up in 200 meter dash. 2021 District 15A boys track MVP. 2021 15A regional qualifier in long jump, 100 meter dash, 200 meter dash, and 4x100 relay. 2021 15A first place regional champion in 100 meter dash. 2021 15A regional runner-up in 4x100 meter relay anchor leg. 2021 LHSAA 5A state track championships qualifier in 100 meter and 4x100 meter relay. 2021 LHSAA 5A state runner-up in 100 meter with a time of 10.48. 2021 LHSAA 5A state runner-up in 4x100 meter relay. 2021 Captain Shreve High School boys track MVP, and the 2021 Shreveport Times Best of Preps Award winner for Boys Track and Field Athlete of the Year. And whereas Mr. Law has been honored to have the support of his family, community, teammates, and classmates during his track and field career, and it has been especially meaningful to be able to train under his father, Coach Kendrick Law Sr. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission in legal and regular session on this 20th day of May 2021 that it does hereby extend its most sincere and heartfelt expressions of congratulation and appreciation to Mr. Kendrick Law for his praiseworthy achievements and for the representing of Caddo Parish with such admirable strength and dedication to excellence in track and field. And it is signed, Lyndon Johnson, President.
I thank everyone and Mr. Johnson for the recognition award.
Commissioner Burrell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was sitting there listening to all those accolades. Thought you were Mr. America there. You've done quite well, and we're very proud of you. So we're looking forward for you to just go to bigger and better things if there is such a thing. So just want to congratulate you. And your father, I assume that's who's there standing next to you.
Commissioner Carthon?
Congratulations there, Mr. Law and Little Law, and vice versa. Just congratulations. I know you're going to do great things. And I was afforded the opportunity to be at several of the track meets you were at and winning those races, and most particularly the one in Baton Rouge. So congratulations and much success in your future.
Commissioner Talaferro?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I think you're fast.
Really?
With recognition comes a responsibility. And really, I'm getting choked up about it, but your responsibility, because of your local fame, and I don't doubt that it is going to continue regardless of where you go, but I'd like to see you take that responsibility to help and mentor others that will definitely be looking up to you as a role model and see your accomplishments and know that because of you, they can do the same thing or even be greater. So I applaud you for your accomplishments. I think you're a great young man, and we're looking forward to seeing many great things from you in the future. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing.
And I also want to say today is a special day because not only are we going to be recognizing you, we also have some ladies from Booker T. Washington. So we have some good students in Caddo Parish, and we have some good athletes in Caddo Parish. And I just think we need to do a better job of recognizing those as they accomplish the things that they accomplish, instead of always publishing the bad things that happen in Shreveport and Caddo Parish.
Amen.
So congratulations and keep up the good work. Let's vote on the adoption of that special resolution.
And that motion passes with 10 in support, none in opposition, and 2 absent. And that brings us to the next item, 8.2, is a special resolution of recognition and appreciation for Booker T. Washington High School girls track and field team.
Oh, Mr. Clerk and Mr. President, if it pleases you guys, can we englobo these resolutions, Booker T. Washington, Charlotte Turner, and Lamar Carter, and when we will present them in that order? And then we'll come back and vote on the adoption.
Want to englobo and adopt all?
Correct.
All right, been moved by Commissioner Carter. Seconded by Commissioner Atkins to englobo and adopt the special resolutions for Booker T. Washington track. It's Tyler and Lamar Carter. Turner, my bad. You ladies can come up.
Commissioner Coughlin, would you like me to go ahead and read, or just wait till everybody?
No, get on in here. Let's get the principal so I can look about that. All right, we're ready.
All right. The resolution of recognition to Booker T. Washington Lady Track and Field Team. Whereas the Caddo Parish Commission is always pleased to observe and enjoy the accomplishments of those Northwest Louisiana sons and daughters who have gone forth to attain success and distinction in the various endeavors they pursue. And whereas Lady Lions coach Erica Wynn brought her winning formula from Texas in 2013 and has worked to build a powerhouse in the Louisiana's 4A girls track and field division. And whereas Coach Wynn's formula for success included a number of Lady Lions, including Shaterica Cannon, Rakiva Crawford, Shabrinda Ford, Asia Taylor, and Shyler Turner, who spent countless hours training and preparing for the 2021 season. And whereas on May 8th, 2021 in Baton Rouge, Turner's first place finishes in the 100 meters, 100 meter hurdles, 200 meters, and 300 meter hurdles, along with the BTW girls relay team of Cannon, Crawford, Ford, and Tyler, third place finishes in the 4x100 relay and 4x200 relay, combined to secure an overall third place finish in the LHSAA state championship. And whereas Coach Wynn and her Lady Lions team bring great pride to their school and community through their championship efforts on the track and in the classroom. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission that it does hereby proclaim May 23rd, 2021 to be Booker T. Washington Girls Track and Field Team Day in Caddo Parish, Louisiana, in recognition and admiration of their notable achievements in the sport of Louisiana high school girls track and field. And it's signed Commissioner Lyndon Johnson, Commissioner Stephen Jackson, and Commissioner Lynn Cawthorn.
We want to say congratulations to the BTW team, their coaches, and our principals here. And you ladies want to say something? The mic is open, mic.
On behalf of our track team, we want to say thank you to the Caddo Parish Commission for this honor. Thank you.
Most welcome.
Commissioners on the board?
Yes, got
Commissioners on the board.
Burrell on the board.
Yeah, ladies, come back.
Yeah, they got commissioners on the board.
I guess I have, Mr. Chairman,
You have the floor.
I guess I have to admit, I like girl track better than I do boy track. The effort that you all put in and the type of work and work ethic that you all put in is just simply amazing. Now, the young lady that seemed to be a little shorter than the other, no reflection, Yeah. I can just imagine you being probably one of the fastest one on the team.
Low drag.
Low drag.
It's low drag.
But anyway, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to congratulate them, and if there's anything that we can do, I'm sure I can speak for the rest of us. Just let us know. Thank you.
Commissioner Gage Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. Of course, I have to say, ladies, congratulations on all of your accomplishments. I hope that you continue to do a great job, and may you prosper in everything you put your hands to. Thank you.
And again, I want to say congratulations to the girls track team. You did Shreveport well, and continue to do the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Our next item is the resolution of recognition for LHSAA State Championship Meet MVP Shyler Turner. Whereas the Caddo Parish Commission is always pleased to recognize and honor those sons and daughters of Caddo Parish who have gone forth to gain singular and outstanding personal achievements, and in doing so reflect favorably and positively upon their home community. And whereas Ms. Shyler Turner, a Shreveport native and graduating senior at Booker T. Washington High School, who will attend Duke University in the fall, has earned the honor of being named the MVP of the Louisiana High School Athletic Association's State Track and Field Championship Meet. Whereas during the LHSAA State Championship Meet held on May 8, 2021 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Ms. Turner earned a Division I 4A championship title in 4 separate races: the 100-meter dash, the 100-meter hurdles, where she broke records with her time of 13.71, the 200-meter dash, and the 300-meter hurdles. And these state wins followed her district and regional titles in the very same races. And whereas in recognition of her talent, work ethic, commitment to excellence, and tremendous potential for future success, she has been awarded a full scholarship by prestigious Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. Whereas Turner has been honored to have the support of her family, community, teammates, and classmates during her track and field career, and especially by coaches like Coach Erica Wynn, Coach Jonathan Stewart, and Coach Rosalind Allen. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission in legal and regular session on this 20th day of May 2021 that it is hereby extend its most sincere and heartfelt expressions of congratulation and appreciation to Shyler Turner for her praiseworthy achievements and for representing Caddo Parish so elegantly and admirably to the state and nation. And it's signed Commissioners Lyndon Johnson, John Atkins, and Lynn Coughlin.
Hi guys. Thank you so much for honoring me. Y'all be blessed.
Thank you.
Full scholarship?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Go Duke.
Yeah. So,
And we
again,
got the last one.
again, I want to say thank you and congratulations on the job that you do. I know it takes hard work. Track is no easy task. The many sprints you have to do, and I think you do hurdles. I heard that right.
Yes, sir.
So hurdles is definitely something that you have to have your mind and be focused on, because once you trip on one of those hurdles, you're pretty much out of the race. So stay focused and continue to do the good work and represent Louisiana Shreveport up at Duke.
Thank you.
Commissioner Burrell.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to,
Okay, we can go ahead and read the last one for Coach.
Okay, I
got
think
one
there
more
was another
commission.
comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, I just want to recognize her for actually going to Duke. Duke is not an easy school. So I know that you must have a lot up here also, getting an opportunity to go there. We look for great things for you. Thank you.
All right. Next item.
Before I read that next one, if I could add, in writing these or doing some of the research, I got a chance to look at some of these scores, and she didn't just win these races; like she was way ahead. Like, it was pretty impressive to see. So, all right. The next item is a resolution of recognition to Mr. Lamar Carter, Whereas the Caddo Parish Commission is always pleased to recognize and honor those sons and daughters of Caddo Parish who have gone forth to gain singular and outstanding personal achievements, and in doing so reflect favorably and positively upon their home community. And whereas, and whereas Mr. Lamar Carter, a Shreveport native and graduate of Captain Shreve High School, who achieved tremendous success in his own track and field career as a triple jumper and returned to Shreveport to use his success to develop new generations of athletes. Whereas during his career, Mr. Carter earned many distinguished accomplishments in the triple jump, including the 1998, 1999, and 2001 USA Outdoor Track and Field Championship titles, the 1999 World Indoor Silver Medalist, 1999 Pan Am Silver Medalist, membership on the 2000 U.S. Olympic team, and the 2001 U.S. Indoor Championship. And whereas in an effort to cultivate the sport and community that he loved, Carter established the Spar Summer Track Team in 2007 with 20 participants and would go on to train and develop over 600 national competitors, 100 college scholarship recipients, and 10 All-Americans. And whereas Carter's track program provides a safe environment and promotes a healthy lifestyle for the youth of Shreveport while simultaneously instilling values of discipline, the pursuit of excellence, perseverance, and respect. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission in legal and regular session on this 20th day of May 2021 that it does hereby extend its most sincere and heartfelt expression of recognition and appreciation to Mr. Lamar Carter for his praiseworthy achievements and for representing Caddo Parish so elegantly and admirably to the state and nation while inspiring our own young citizens to do their best and reach for new goals. And that's signed Commission President Lyndon Johnson, Commission Vice President John Atkins, and District 6 Commissioner Lynn Cawthorn.
Move that we go back to our regular session.
Second.
Been moved by the chair, seconded by Commissioner Chavez, so we go back to our regular session. We have some citizens' comments. One of them is actually more of a report. Mr. Kent Rogers is here. I would say that we go ahead and take his first, and then we'll move to the citizens' comments.
Yeah.
Kent Rogers, Executive Director, Northwest Louisiana Council of Governments, 625 Pearson Street, Shreveport, Louisiana. Actually, I came at the behest of Dr. Wilson, and I know y'all have a resolution on the agenda in terms of the I-49 project.
Yes. Resolution 45.
I just wanted to give y'all some quick update because I know it was in reference to some of the legislation and some of the bills in Baton Rouge in terms of the funding. I know there was a piece of legislation, HB 645, to replace the I-49 corridor with Jimmy Davis Bridge. That bill did not leave the committee hearings. It was unfavorably, is that the correct term?
Yes.
Yeah. Unfavorable. So it did not move on to the floor. There are two others which will have some impact on the project. The largest of those is SB1. It's actually sponsored by Senator Peacock. That will change how the, for lack of a better way to say it, the 0.45 cent tax is distributed. It would take that 4 or 5 cent tax and bring it into the Transportation Trust Fund over a period of time and add that funding to the basically the mega projects program within the trust fund. The I-49 intercity project is one of those mega projects within that program, so it will be funded in that way. Also, there is within the I'm trying to remember the new round of stimulus funds, the $1.6 billion that the state's getting. Within that first chunk of those funds, there's $400 million being dedicated to infrastructure programs. The governor has not at this time indicated what projects would be included within that. However, there have been a series of roughly 10 projects across the state, basically the same projects that were listed in that original BP oil spill funding program, with I-49 as one of those listed. So likelihood some additional funds would be coming forth with those. Just to give you all a little update on the 49 project as it stands, we've still been working on the cultural resource work for the area. There have been over 2,000 structures and properties for the project that have been surveyed, looking at both the structures and the property. That includes not just the build-through alternative, but also the loop-it alternative, the 3132 alternative for that. We're still waiting on SHPO's review, well, Federal Highways and SHPO's review of that final portion of that. Once that's completed and approved, we can move forward again with more detailed right-of-way engineering and bridge concepts for the project. There has been some preliminary bridge concept ideas begun, some aesthetics done, and more detailed line and grade done for a build-through alternative. It's unfortunate that Federal Highways has told us that until they have reviewed and approved all of the document and a draft EIS, that we will not be able to share those with the public. I think that's kind of unfortunate, because I know that's the types of things that everybody wants to see and wants to be a part of. Unfortunately, the feds have basically said we cannot share that with anyone at this time. With that, we are still looking at end of this year, first quarter of next year, to have that draft EIS out. Once that's out on the street, the whole process becomes a very procedural thing, that it's advertised, out for comments for roughly 30 days, then the public hearing, then another 15 days following the public hearing, then it's turned over to DOTD and Federal Highways again to review the comments that were submitted during the public comment period. Then the engineers will address those comments, turn those back around to DOTD. It's a very, there's set time limits and time frames for all that, but it's an extremely procedural process once it gets to there. But again, we're hoping end of this year, first quarter next year, to have that draft EIS out for everyone. And if y'all have any questions.
All right, so move to suspend the rules to ask questions based upon the report. The move by the chair, second by Commissioner Gage Watt. Is that by acclamation? Passes by acclamation. So first one we have up is Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Kent, for visiting with us today, and you provided me with some of the information I was seeking, but can you just provide a little bit more clarity? It sounds like that by the end of the year or the first quarter of 2022, we hope to receive the report, I guess that's the environmental.
They call that the draft. It's the draft environmental impact statement.
The draft environmental impact.
That's the document that goes out for the formal public hearing and the formal public.
Okay. And then how long, you made reference to this procedural process that takes place following that. Is that typically another year or 2 years that structured process?
Well, it's once they approve it to go out for public comment. We advertise. There has to be a 30-day period once it's advertised before the formal public hearing can be held. Once the public hearing's held, there's another 15 days following that public hearing to have it out for public comment. Once those comments come in, the consultant has roughly 30 days to compile all the comments, show how they would address them, provide that back to DOTD. There's a 30-day comment period for DOTD and Federal Highways. If they have comments or suggestions, they give them back to the consultant. There's another 30 days time frame there. They turn it back over to DOTD and Federal Highways. If they're satisfied with the way all the comments were addressed, then what's called a record of decision, a ROD, would be drafted at that time and presented by Federal Highways. That's the final determination on the project is what's called the ROD, the Record of Decision on the project.
All right, so I counted roughly,
36,
5, 30-day tranches in there, so that's 150, that's 5 months.
Yeah,
let's call it 6 months
probably 5-6 months
to the rock.
to have the ROD, yes.
Okay, all right,
Once the document is actually out, there are some other things that DOT can begin the process of, starting to put together some of the other permits and things like that that would be needed and necessary. There's actually pieces that are done following the ROD, but
Okay.
getting it out for the public hearing is the biggest piece of that. Once that's done,
Thank
pretty
you.
much no.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. Kent, thanks for coming down.
Welcome.
On that environmental impact statement, you said it's going to have public hearings. I remember going to the Hamilton Road Branch Library in Southern Hills. They had a bunch of big old placards out, and we had public meetings where the majority of the people would come kind of pick which one they wanted. Is this next meeting the same thing, but it's a condensed version of either one or two of the routes, and the people pick on that? Is that what goes on?
It will be, the way it'll be presented is, there will be somewhat of a similar format in that there will be an open house format to part of it. At the end, there will be the formal public hearing where you can do the people come up to the mic, make comments if they want. They can also do it in writing. They can do it to a court reporter there. They can provide it in writing afterwards, but there has to be, during that time frame, there has to be a formal, here's a microphone, make your statement type of thing. Boards will be set up primarily addressing, it would basically address the two finals, which are basically the build through and then the loop alternative bus. It also has to have the no build alternative into it, but it would be identifying what Federal Highways and DOTD classify as the preferred alternative at that point.
Okay, and then I'm younger of the commissioners, and I've heard that this has been going on since the 70s, before I was born, and I hear people make a joke that, well, this is going to be going on after I'm dead. So at this point, are we almost towards the finish line? Is 150 days, is 6 months? How long after that? Is it really going to be, I hear people say like 49 or 53.
At that point, it all depends on dollars. The quicker the dollars come in, quicker it can all get completed and constructed and underway. I would say that following issuance of the ROD, typical probably about 2 years to get the final design and engineering done. Then they'll work on the right-of-way. They can do some of the right-of-way acquisition during that time frame. Initial hard takes, hard case scenarios, initial takings, some of those types of things. They can do those right away. Once the engineering's done, move into construction. I would hope at this point, and we've had several conversations with the department of doing this as a design build project similar to the Barksdale Gate Access Road, where they can do some of the design and the construction at the same time. Those pieces that are pretty much givens, you know how they have to work and how they have to go in terms of the design, get underway, get them under construction as you finish up the rest of it.
So in 4 years, we should have all the pieces in place as except for the financing. If we know the price tag of each scenario, loop it or straight through.
We can begin that financing now.
Okay. So
And in essence, the state has already done that with the $100 million allocation towards the project.
do you know how much left is needed for the financing piece?
Probably about 500 to 600 million more. And that's, I would hate to say this, but that's probably a conservative side also. The way, y'all see it now, you go buy a piece of plywood and it's, what used to be $7 is now $40.
You're right.
Hopefully that'll all come down here in the future. But right now, construction costs have gone through the roof.
Last question, Kent, this is just what a lot of constituents are calling, asking me, do you anticipate the Amazon coming to town going to expedite the process?
It can't do anything but help it. I don't think that that would hinder the process. It certainly should help the process.
I think they're hoping it helps.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kent. Thank you, President.
Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kent, we've known each other for a long time.
Long time.
And a lot of it has been over this project and probably other projects. So I have several questions that I have, and the chairman has told me how much time I had. As you know, the longer this project is pushed out, the more people are going to take pot shots at it, just like they just recently did, trying to steal part of the $100 million that was earned by the the Northwest delegation, that they were, I say earned, but they were able to get appropriated. And the longer the process, the more pot shots are going to be taken at this project or any money that's available. That's just how the state works. My first question is, you partly stated it, but the completion of the record of decision, based upon what Commissioner Atkinson had stated earlier, your anticipation is when?
We anticipate to have the draft EIS into this year, first quarter of next year. And then to have that ROD after that, roughly 5 months, somewhere in that time frame. I'd have to go back and look at the exact, there's a 30-day thing, there's a 45-day thing, there's a couple of 30-day things. I'd have to go back and add up what those actual time frames are, but they're very procedural time frames. There's no give and take on them. It's not like you can't shorten those time frames. You're stuck to those. You can't lengthen them, and you can't. The benefit is you can't lengthen them either, though. They are held to. Those things have to be turned around within that 30 days or 45 days or 15 days, whatever those time frames are. It has to be done in that time frame.
So we're looking at the EIS, the document, to be completed by the end of December?
The draft.
The draft.
The draft, which is what goes out for the public comment. That also identifies the preferred alternative in it.
Okay, let me piggyback off that same one. There's been a couple of projects that, major projects that have taken place in our area. The 220 extension into Barksdale.
Yes.
I think an extension on I-69. Did either of those need a record of decision?
Yes. The Barksdale Gate Access Road was done under what they call an environmental assessment. It didn't require a full-blown EIS, primarily because there was most of that property was already owned or under the control of some governmental agency. I believe there was a parcel maybe the size of this room that was public. I mean, not public, but privately owned. The rest of it was all controlled by the public sector.
How long did that process take?
That process, everybody tends to think that project flew through the ranks. It probably took us 10 years also. We had been working on what they call the interchange justification report for about 7 years on that project. So although in the public's eye and what the DOTD put it out there as it seems like it flew through the process, it had actually been being worked on for many years prior to that.
Well, let me ask you this then, Mr. Chairman, you can throw your thing up whenever time, but when I secured the money for the initial study, which I believe was 2007.
Yes.
It was $4 million. How much have we spent and how much have we encumbered for this study so far? We started off, I believe it was 3.5 or 4, and I know that we asked for another 1.5 million. Have we extended that beyond that? don't want to rack your brains, but I.
Yeah,
think pretty
it's,
good.
there was 1.5, I believe it's 6 total.
So it's standing at 6 million right now from 3.5.
I believe that's correct. I'd have to go back and look at my numbers. I was gonna see if I can pull it
And
up
we've
real quick.
we've doubled that amount because of the lack of performance of.
No. A great deal of that additional expense came into play when Federal Highways determined that the loop-it option was a viable option to study, and we had to bring that option up to the same level of detail and study work that the 4 build-through alternatives that we had at that time. We had to bring all of that work for the loop-it option up to that same level of detail of work. We've also had some issues with some of the cultural work, both within that area and then having to do cultural work along the loop-it option, which had not originally been budgeted for. None of that work had originally been identified or budgeted for.
Well, I know that it wasn't budgeted for because it wasn't really a viable option until opposition came and pushed it.
Correct.
But that as it may.
Correct.
I have 2 more questions, Mr. Chairman,
Correct.
and that's it.
So before you ask them questions, can I get an extension on Commissioner Burrell? At least 3 minutes?
Second.
All right. Is that by acclamation?
Yep.
All right.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
I know that when Governor John Bel Edwards, who was one of my former colleagues in the legislature, when he was campaigning, he campaigned on here in Shreveport completing the inner city portion of I-49. That was his major issue. Do you know of any change of heart by the governor? Because he's a key player in this as to
No, I
not
don't.
finishing this.
No, I don't.
And the reason why I'm asking is because when we were fighting for these dollars down in Baton Rouge, we were also competing with South Louisiana.
Yes.
And I-49 going through Lafayette. And let me tell you, that is 10 times, not 10 times, 100 times more historical sites and all of this other stuff that goes through Lafayette than go through Allendale.
Correct.
But yet and still, we don't hear a lot about the opposition that they had down there. I don't know if they've done a better job or whatever the case may be, or they've spent money, state money, on 90 because 90 goes through Lafayette already. And as I understand it, that a lot of the money that has been spent to build overpasses and extension to expand 92 interstate standards, monies have been spent all along, but it has not necessarily been federal money, has it?
190 or
Or is that
90,
190?
excuse me, it is 90.
It's
US 90 south of Lafayette, just south of the airport exit in Lafayette, was basically developed in the same manner that the inner loop originally was, where the travel lanes were originally designed and constructed as if they would ultimately be interstates. So basically the process from Lafayette to, I believe, just south of Lafayette to roughly the Morgan City area, basically all they had to do was similar to as we did on the inner loop, was you build the main line, then you come back and do the overpasses over a period of time. They've been adding those overpasses over a period of time. Their inner city section goes from, similar to here, it's from I-10, where 49 and 10 interchange, to just south of the Lafayette Airport. They went through a very similar process that we have gone through. Their environmental document was brought to court because they were diligent as we were diligent and have been diligent. That court case was quickly thrown out. We have been reassured by both Federal Highways and DOTD and their personnel And we have been very cautious to make sure we cross every T and dot every I, as is definitely necessary in order for that document to hold up in court.
Well, I just wanted-
The one thing that they can do is you can sue on the process. You can't sue on the answer. Whether you like the answer or not can't be held up. It's the process.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to make a final statement, is that hopefully you've seen the issues that we're having on the Cross Lake Bridge.
Oh, yes.
We've had 2 accidents in the last 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And that could very well have been toxic material, chemicals, or anything dumping into our water supply.
Correct.
Which would probably put it out of commission for the next 10 to 20 years.
Correct.
So I'm hoping somebody's listening, that we need an alternative path, major path, especially with Amazon coming up there, and hopefully something else may. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Talaferro.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know there's a lot of figures that obviously keep changing, and I think that's some of the frustration with just about everybody that is associated, with this particular project, is it just seems like things just keep changing. We really don't have concrete figures here and there. So what I want to focus on now is the things that should be, I think, concrete. So you mentioned 2,000 structures in the path of the I-49. So my question is, I think some people believe that 2,000 structures means 2,000 residences. So I'd like you to clarify that for people that may not be that familiar with what a structure actually will be. And
Yes.
out of those structures, how many, or those 2,000, how many are actual residences that would have to be bought out and or moved, to make way for the I-49 passage?
The 2,000 structures in reference to the cultural report is they survey, it's not just those that would be in the anticipated right-of-way. They also survey properties that they consider what they call within the view shed.
Correct.
And because most of it is elevated, that view shed extends out roughly 3 blocks per side. Those structures and properties, they're not just homes, they're also businesses, they're also, if you have an outbuilding at your house, that structure is also identified. Some areas where it's just a concrete pad that's from a house or something that has been torn down or gone, they still have to review that property. But it's not just through the intercity corridor, it's also along that corridor that traverses 220 and the inner loop from 49 North to the 49 interchange at the inner loop. So there's, I want to say 600 and some of those structures were along that corridor also.
Okay, I'm glad that you explained that, because there's a lot of people that may not understand exactly how you come up with the 2,000 structures.
Unfortunate that that's part of what they call, that's part of the cultural resource survey and part of the 106 process. And the only way that data ultimately becomes public is through public request to the SHPO's office once that document is finalized. We are not allowed, even at the end of the day when all this is done and over, we're not allowed to give that out. That has to go through the SHPO's office.
Okay, and so one final question is that in its infancy, I guess my guess would be is that those people who would be suffering the most in those 2,000, out of those 2,000 structures have been approached by some entity to actually discuss the purchase of their property?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, so they have not?
No.
All right, is there any way that they know if they are actually in that particular corridor or
They
not?
would know that they were within that view shed and within that corridor because they had to have access to their property.
Okay.
Some of the property owners provided access, some of them did not. And that's typical of all projects. At the end of the day, once something determined, once they get out and start doing construction, they'll have to start, those ones that they were not allowed on, they'll have to go on to those sites at that time. And
Thank you.
that's typical of any project.
Dr. Wilson?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Dr. Wilson?
Yes, sir. You done, sir?
Yes, I'm through. Thank you,
Okay,
Dr.
thanks.
Wilson.
Kent, I just want to comment to Commissioner Chavez's observation. Yes, we were talking about this back in the 70s. It's taking that long. But we just recently approved our regional transportation plan that goes out to 2045. So we're dealing with long-range projects. And the last question I have, Kent, the COGS already voted on the preferred route.
Correct.
How much weight will that have with the Federal Highway Commission?
That, along with all the resolutions that I know that
Commissioners
y'all
passed.
passed in the past, City
Yes.
Council passed, the ports passed, several of the business industry and whatnot, yeah, that plays a part in it. Once they see that, the bulk of everybody says yes, and you have a few say no, that's always going to play a big impact, especially when it is the governmental entities saying, here's our preferred.
And thanks for coming today, Kent. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I know Commissioner Jackson's on.
Commissioner Jackson?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Kent, for coming down. Are we just talking about I-49 or anything?
I'm open to anything.
Resolution 45.
His topic was on I-49.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear before because I had some other things, but I will get you back to talk about those other things that are not I-49.
I had mentioned to Doc I would come
Okay,
first, is that what it was?
cool.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Yeah.
On the I-49 deal, there's a massive infrastructure bill
Yes.
for Congress now.
Yes.
Does it contemplate I-49?
Yes. I know that earmarks, although they are not calling them earmarks, but there are earmarks back.
Yes.
I think they're calling them projects of community interest or something to that extent. They were actually allowed to put
No, Kent.
two.
No, because I don't
Go
have a
ahead.
whole lot of time. Is I-49 in that bill?
There are no specific projects identified in
Okay.
the current infrastructure project anywhere.
Gotcha.
Right now,
Gotcha.
it's basically just, here's money, here's the programs, here's how much would be in each one of the programs, here's how much would be available for
And
those
who would
projects of
determine, who would
community
determine those local programs?
Those would be submitted by the congressional delegation, both the representatives and the two senators.
And then who would sign off on them being ready to go?
Ultimately, Congress as a whole.
I'm saying Congress would appropriate the monies, but who would decide that we're gonna do this program in Texas, we're gonna do this program in Louisiana, we're gonna do this program in Maine?
There's,
Wouldn't that be the
I
highway?
guess the easy way to put it is within the overall structure of the infrastructure bill, there'll be two categories of funding. One category would be what we would consider the programmatic funds, the interstate maintenance funds, the high priority program, the bridge program, those type of things. Then there is what they are now calling projects of community interest. Each of the members of Congress will be allowed to submit, I believe in the infrastructure bill, they'll be allowed to submit up to 6 projects.
So they'll be allowed to submit who they're submitting them to?
To Congress as a whole.
Who's going to be the ultimate sayer on if we do a project, if these projects are going to be done?
If they're funded through that bill, it will be much like several of these
Okay.
pieces of legislation at the state that have listing out.
But doesn't federal highway?
Like one of them that has listed out, no, it's actually Congress.
It's Congress, okay.
Congress would vote on it, yeah.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, yeah. It
And
actually-
federal highways will be responsible for
Implementation of this.
implementation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The funds would ultimately flow through federal highways or
Okay.
federal
That's-
US DOT and then down to
Gotcha.
LA DOTD and then
That's
that
where I'm
process.
trying to
Yes.
get to. Is Congress
Yes.
sets the money aside, dedicates and say, this
Correct.
is what we want to do.
Correct.
But implementation, execution is a function of federal highways,
And
flow through
DOTD, yeah.
DOTD.
Correct.
President Biden, right, sausage making. President Biden and Secretary Buttigieg has made comments about, I heard you mention the cultural aspects of it, and they've talked about the historic natures of elevated highways going through historically African American neighborhoods. How does that play into this, or does it play into it? If it doesn't, it doesn't. If it does, it does.
I guess the easiest way to describe that is, again, there's still a very formal process you have to go through. And at the end of the day, that process ultimately says this
Does
is.
does that process contemplate, is that part of that cultural process?
Yes, the cultural is part of that NEPA process. That's what we're in the middle of.
And so
that's probably, in instances of similar to this project, that probably is the biggest, I don't want to say the biggest factor, but it's the part of the process that is the most, taking the most time, most effort, I guess you could say.
I mean, I just, just wanted to see if that was part of the process. 'Cause I
Oh,
know
yes, definitely,
I think somebody
definitely.
said it changes. I think Jim said it changes. All this stuff keeps changing or whatnot, but there are some things that are relatively consistent. And right now you have Secretary basically saying that he's made statements. These are not statements that
Correct.
I've said. These are statements that the
Correct.
Secretary has said. And so
Statements of his preference, however, they're still not policy.
Right.
And that policy comes through, the majority of the policy for the environmental process is through NEPA and the Congress of Environmental Quality, I think
Right.
it is, that actually initiates NEPA,
Right.
and through EPA.
Right. So the comments that they have made about the Claiborne Expressway and want to, in their billions of dollars.
I will tell you that comments from my counterpart and comments from many of the local leaders in New Orleans is not just no, but hell no.
What?
Where are you gonna put 400,000 cars a day?
Right.
I mean, that's a different instance.
But the president has said he wants to dedicate monies in
To
his
look at it.
infrastructure bill to remove structures like the Claiborne Expressway. Is that not true? It doesn't matter what they're saying at the local level. Is that a fact, or is that not?
It would still have to go through, even removal of highways have to go through that environmental process.
Right. But he wants to.
But
he wants to make a priority of
Correct.
removing.
From my understanding, correct. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Again, I'm just stating what is or what is not
Correct.
our preferences or what the local preferences
Commissioner,
are.
time has expired. Is there a motion to extend?
Motion to extend.
3 minutes?
Okay.
Have
Yeah.
acclamation?
A final comment I'd make in terms of federal funding, and this relates not just to federal highway dollars or federal transit dollars. In essence, there is a NEPA process that you have to go through for every federal dollar
Right.
you get, irregardless of what it is.
Right. But the president does have billions of dollars in his infrastructure bill that he's pushing for to remove highways like the Claiborne Expressway.
He's expressed that he would like to study some of those and work on some of those. Whether that will actually happen or not, I don't know.
Can't. I think you're getting too cute. Is the president, does he have it in his bill to look at these things or not do it?
The way the current infrastructure bills are written, at this point in time, there are no individual projects written into the legislation at this time.
Is there monies in to remove highways? I'll be that broad then.
There's monies in every bill that could be used for removal.
But he specifically said, I want to remove highways, take the names away.
Yes. And
Okay.
Again, there's money in, there's been
Right,
money
it's
in
not a
every
trick
bill that
question.
could
I'm
have
not
been
trying
used
to,
for that
I'm
process.
not trying to trick you up here. That's a public record. He said it, right? He said it in the State of the Union address. I saw it. I'm not trying to trick you here.
Correct.
Okay.
But again, there's been money in every bill that you could have used to do that.
But he has said specifically his priority is to use money for that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Come on, Kent. My last question is if everything goes forward, everything is successful, local consideration is had. I heard you talk about the rod being put together, and how soon after the rod record of decision would citizens be able to drive on the completed portion of I-49?
Again, the quicker the funding comes in, the quicker that it can get done.
So you don't have a...
We would hope that it could be done in a similar fashion to the Barksdale Gate Road,
Okay.
where they could
Garvey
do,
bond.
they could do engineering and construction simultaneously within a couple of years.
They did like...
They could start some construction on it, yeah.
Gotcha. But
again, that's all.
it's all dedicated on the monies being available.
Yeah.
But no hard concrete drop dead timeline on it.
No, and again, that's all dependent on the money.
Depending on
the money.
On the money bit of it. Gotcha.
The more money and the quicker the money comes in, the quicker you can get it done.
Has our congressman, do we know what way our congressman plans to vote on that infrastructure bill? Have we made any, has he let us know what his desire is?
He's supporting the I-49 project, but
He's
I don't
supporting
know.
I-49.
Yeah, from what I've heard, depending on how it goes forth, if it's
Why everybody talking and moving when my
if it's individual infrastructure bill, 100% supportive. If it gets mixed in with other things, I don't know.
Oh. I couldn't hear him because the phone was going off.
That means the time was up.
What did you say, Kent?
My indication from our congressman is if it's an individual infrastructure bill, he's 100% supportive.
Okay.
Not sure if it gets mixed in with other things as typically happens.
Thank you, Kent. Mr. President, I'd ask that, as I said, and I listened through everybody's question without interruption, I'd ask that we give everybody that same respect. There's murmuring in the audience, there's chatter here and there in the byway, so let's give everybody the same respect. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Young, you up.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Rogers, I had a couple questions I wanted to ask about the project. Some of my constituents were asking about it at the Broadmoor Neighborhood Association meeting recently. Could you tell me how many miles the intercity connector would be?
It's roughly a 3.5 mile gap from one end to the other. Actual construction wise, in terms of ramps and all that type of work, I want to say it's somewhere in the 7 range.
Okay, 3.5 to 7 miles. And then how much travel time does it save? I remember seeing a study about it, but I don't remember the number exactly.
I don't remember off
I
the
thought
top
it was
of my
maybe
head.
like 8 minutes, or was it?
I don't want to say without somewhere in that range.
Somewhere in that
but
range.
I'm not.
Okay, so let's say 10 minutes.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay, so maybe 10 minutes. And then, let's see, next question in order. How far does I-49 go north of Caddo Parish?
All the way up to Texarkana and around Texarkana, and I want to say it's somewhere in the 7 to 15 miles north of Texarkana. Then it picks up again just south of Fayetteville area.
Yeah, it's Fort Smith.
Then goes from Fayetteville all the way up into Kansas City. At that point, it ties into I-29, and 29 goes all the way up into Canada.
Right. So when I look at the map, I noticed that between Texarkana and Fort Smith, there's 175 miles with no I-49 there.
I don't think it's quite that far.
I think one time
I know there's a big gap. There's a big gap there.
Yeah, there's a big gap, and you know, in the middle of that gap is the largest and oldest forest in the South. Did you know that? Ouachita National Forest. Do you think that it is contemplated to complete I-49 through the Ouachita National Forest at some point?
They
or just to
have-
continue to go around it on I-30?
They have a ROD. They have an environmental document for that portion. I know they've been doing some supplemental environmental work, and some of the, I know they've looked at some of the right-of-way acquisitions. I know from Fort Smith South, they have been doing some of that right-of-way acquisition. It's, again, it's been a matter of funding for them, but they do have environmental clearance for that corridor through there.
Okay, interesting. And regarding sort of long-term maintenance costs of our interstates, I remember when I-49 was built on the south side of town, which I drive all the time. I remember it had to be repaired sort of shortly after it was built, and then there was a bunch of stuff that needed to be done.
There were two pieces. One of them was actually fairly close, well, in town, basically around the Kings Highway area.
Right.
And then there was some just south of town, actually south of the Southern Loop area that was reconstructed. Those were both contractor issues.
Okay.
They had some issues with some of their concrete, some of the work up here. It was actually some bad rebar within it. The contractor was required to pull it up, replace it, put it back.
Okay. So about how long does it take for one of these interstates to need maintenance investments again? Barring contractor error.
Yeah, barring contractor error, it's to be designed for a 30-year standard.
Okay. Does is that about the point that I-20's at now? It needs its 30-year upgrade in some places.
It's past that.
Past that. Do we have any money for that?
There's actually a series of projects about to go out from basically from Monkhouse all the way over to the Airline Drive area. Then there's a second one. Actually, it's a series of 3 projects. One is the Benton to Airline area, then Airline out to 220, and then from basically the Benton Road exit area all the way through to Monkhouse.
All along I-20?
All along I-20.
It's going to be like repaving?
Some of it will be repaving, some of it is just joint and panel replacement and repair as needed. The section from Airline out will ultimately be similar to what we've done on the west side of town, where we basically what we call steel from the center. As you do the maintenance, you fill in, you add the two lanes on the inside, so that you end up with an extra 3rd lane through the area.
Okay.
The Benton to Airline piece of that is going to be the hardest of it. One, it's in the worst condition, but there's not a whole lot of right-of-way, not a whole lot of area to use to even build external kind of temporary lane or anything like that for the through traffic.
Okay. So one of my concerns and one of my constituents' concerns is that you said many times, if the sooner the money comes in, the sooner we can build this new road. But are we going to have enough money for our old roads? Are they going to keep deteriorating? Is there going to be a steady stream of money for our new roads and its repair when that happens? These are the kinds of questions that fiscal conservatives in my neighborhood are asking me.
There's getting to be, and as we did our long-range plan update, and as we looked at funding and whatnot, not just primarily for our region, but this is what's happening at the state level and other areas too, is that more and more of those funds are being dedicated to what we call safety maintenance and those types of programs, rather than new construction or capacity expansion type projects.
Okay, but all the same, we are considering a new construction here. Okay, that's all I wanted to ask. Oh, actually, I had one more little question, and it was about the bridge that goes across Cross Lake.
Yes.
A colleague of mine just told me that there's a retention pond that captures the water that falls on that lake.
There's retention ponds and drainage system associated with the bridge on both sides. There's some filtration system under the bridge. You know, when you drive over the bridge, it does this. It's designed in a way that the water flows to the center. It goes into, if you're ever underneath the bridge, you can see the center section kind of has this type of thing under it. It goes into there, it goes through some filtration systems, goes down to those retention ponds and through some other things.
Okay. So
The
earlier
idea
you
is
said
to
that
keep- The
perhaps
idea
there
is to
was-
keep the water, that type of drainage from going into the lake.
You want a 3-minute extension?
Could I just have 1 minute?
Yeah, move to
That'd be fine. Thank you.
Second. Okay.
Thank you.
It's been moved
Um,
and
so-
second by acclamation.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the pond, the retention pond, is it working, or do you think it is a risk that when there's a wreck there, stuff is getting into the lake? And if it's not working, should we invest in improving that?
I think it would be wise to invest in improving it. I think it is doing its job. There may be, you know, some small issues, but they inspect the bridges. I think it's twice a year. They go over the major bridges and look. So it's obviously doing its job.
Okay.
The thing with running 49 along there is you'd have to add a lane to each side of that, which means you also have to add to that
Sure.
drainage system and retention system and filtration system, and that all works.
Got it. Okay, thank you. That's all, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gage-Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Rogers?
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you so much for coming down, providing
You're
this
welcome.
report to us today. I will not ask you anything about 3132 and its lighting.
Well, I actually have
However-
something for you on that.
I know that this project will enhance all of these infrastructures around here, so I'm very confident of that. And I just wanted to say thank you for the diligence in providing these type of reports to our body. I am in full support of this project. I know that this will help to improve the quality of life for all of our citizens. So I know this is an investment that we will leave for generations to come. So anything that I can do personally to help along this task, I am here for it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Seeing no other commissioners, thank you, Ken, for coming and giving us that update.
You're welcome. And as I mentioned, I had mentioned to Dr. Wilson I would be here on the 1st, and I do have something for you at that time.
Thank you.
All right,
You're
thank
welcome.
you. So now I make a motion to move back into
Second.
regular
Second.
session with public comments of no questions. First person up would be Mr. Cedric Floyd.
I have a handout.
Just give it to our clerk over there. And you can just give us your name, and you can take your mask off while you're speaking at the podium.
Thank you. I'm Cedric Floyd, president of Data Center LLC, a full-service redistricting company. Good evening, commissioners, parish administrator, and other elected and appointed officials. I'm Cedric Floyd, president of Data Center LLC, a full-service reapportionment and redistricting company. In the next 90 days, the 2020 census will be released. Since the last census, there have been newcomers to your parish, some residents moving out, deaths, and residents moving within your parish. And these changes have not been equally among your 12 districts. That is why the Caddo Parish Commission districts must be reapportioned based on the 2020 census to comply with federal, state, and your home rule charter. With 40 years of providing reapportionment and redistricting services, Data Center is the most experienced redistricting company in the state. This is our 5th U.S. Census, 1980, 1990, 2000, 2010, and now 2020. Data Center has worked for 40 different governmental bodies. That's on your last page, you'll see. And we have worked on 16 election cases, all successful. Data Center has unmatched expertise. I'm the chief demographer. I've been certified as an expert demographer in all 3 federal court systems in the state. The only person doing redistricting that's certified as an expert demographer in all federal courts. We have unmatched experience on our staff, and also we guarantee our work. We have done work throughout the parish. 10 years ago, we did the 4 police juries below you: DeSoto Parish Police Jury, Red River Police Jury, Sabine Parish Police Jury, and Natchitoches Parish Police Jury. Besides, we have worked for 10 different parish governments. We do the whole process, creating the maps, public hearings, and submitting all documents to state and parish officials. So when this body begin the process of reapportionment, my company, Data Center, would like to be considered. Thank you very much. I knew it wasn't going to take 3 minutes. Thank you. And my contact information is on the front cover of the handout. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Floyd.
Thank you.
Next is Kay Camp. Ms. Camp, you can give us your name and you already removed your mask.
I have the hardest time hearing since I started wearing the mask, even with the mask off. My name is Kay Grammer Camp. I'm a local who returned to Shreveport 23 years ago, and I love my home. I have seen treasures here since my return that were underappreciated. I'm delighted to say more of those treasures that I saw are being polished and made beautiful, often with what I call the sweet Shreveport style creative spin. Since I retired about 4 years ago, I've been sitting in the audience during parish commission meetings, city council meetings, and MPC meetings. It's a lot of meetings. I sit from the beginning to the end of the meetings because sometimes the best is at the very end. And most of the last 15 months, I've been watching it live stream, unless life has interrupted us. I've come to know y'all as earnest people who are doing the best job you can with the tools and the knowledge you have. It's my hope that we all do that. You have all of my respect for all of the work that you do. What I don't understand, and I want you to help me with it, what I don't understand is why, when after 10 plus years of graduate schools throughout our country teaching about the harm created when urban freeways and interstates are placed through cities and the neighborhoods, why are we not acknowledging it? Why did Boston, Massachusetts, San Francisco, California, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, New Haven, Connecticut, Chattanooga, Tennessee remove and reroute their interstates and urban freeways? Why are Little Rock and New Orleans critically thinking about rerouting theirs today? Another question I have is, why are the governing bodies and also us citizens not being guided by the professional staff people who have graduated with their urban planning degrees? Why are we, who are not specifically trained in the urban planning field, not hearing about the harm caused by the urban freeways going through neighborhoods? I want the best for the whole city. Over 50 cities are either tearing their urban freeways and interstates down, they are in court, or they are seriously discussing rerouting the freeways cutting through the cities. Anyone can doubt my numbers. Check them out. But there is collective data that support my numbers and is easily accessible. I Google everything. Okay.
Move to extend.
3 minutes.
Teeny bit. Thank you. I value my home and respect others' value of their homes. The people in Shreveport deserve y'all knowing about the data. I consider Shreveport special, very special. I choose to live here. I can live lots of places. And I understand how citizens really love their homes. And before making decisions that deeply affect people's homes, I would like to know that our government leaders have considered the questions I asked. And I thank you sincerely very much for your service.
Thank you, Ms. Camp.
Thank you.
Next person is Bill Robeson.
Mr. President, Commissioners, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Bill Robertson. I live at 214 Leo. I believe I'm in Mr. Talaferro's district. I'm here to talk about I-49 and highway priorities. And I appreciate the Commission putting this resolution forward to express your opinion on highway priorities. I think the more people are involved in this discussion, the better answer we're going to have and the better decision we're going to make. I want to suggest an amendment to the resolution to direct the legislature to correct the error that was made 2 years ago, diverting $100 million away from Jimmy Davis Bridge replacement to I-49. Jimmy Davis Bridge replacement is a much needed project. 25,000 cars cross that bridge every day. It's dilapidated, it's obsolete, and it's in bad need of replacement, and it's a non-controversial project. So I believe the Highway Department intended for the money to go there, and it was diverted by elected officials. All due respect, I think that was a terrible error, and the Commission has the ability now to influence that decision and move that money back. So once again, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the Commission and look forward to hearing your answer.
Thank you, Ms. Robertson. Robert Pugh.
Yeah, Robert Pugh, Shreveport, Louisiana. I am the president and owner of Robert Pugh Agency, a local marketing and advertising firm for 40 years, actually, this year. And I was tapped by local leaders, mostly from the Committee 100, to create and implement a public awareness campaign touting the benefits of the completion of the approximately 3.5 miles of the I-49 inner-city connector. And I wanted to share some of the things that I've discovered and the things that are in that campaign today. Now, research shows that an increased access and exposure will provide significant economic impact to the tune of more than $800 million annual economic boost to this local economy. And now our campaign is touting and certainly highlighting those numbers, but we also want to address some of the concerns and questions from the community. And the number one question I get is, where exactly does this proposed route, the preferred route, go? And if we could play that video, we have a little video that kind of explains that, because not many people are under the impression it runs right through the middle of Allendale. And as you can see, this kind of shows you, it starts up right where it ends, basically at I-20, and it runs north just parallel of Allen Avenue. Allen Avenue is actually the east barrier of Allen Avenue is the east barrier of Allendale neighborhood. And it doesn't cross into Allendale until it takes that northwest turn at the Ford Street interchange, which actually connects us to downtown. Then once it gets outside Allendale, you have the Hearn Avenue interchange, and then obviously the last part of the 3.5 miles connects at the north side of I-220. And I want to point out that the highway will be elevated. So the hope is, what I'm understanding, and I've read everything I can on the NLCOG website, it's an elevated, so it will not be blocking any of the east-west, so those streets. So the elevation is actually helpful as far as keeping, access. It's not causing less access for Allendale in the surrounding neighborhoods, but actually providing more access, which is really important for first responders and level 1 trauma center patients, where every minute really counts. So, and again, but there are some people, there will be some homes that are affected, and we care about those people as well. I mean, when you go through that and you look at that map, and you drill down, there's actually like less than 60 structures that are actually torn down and having to be, people relocating. And some of those homes are uninhabited right now, but all the property owners will be reimbursed at fair market value of their property. And all renters, there are going to be some renters who are going to be displaced. You worry about those people. They're not homeowners. They're not property owners. Well, there are funds. We've done some research, and there are funds available, and you guys more aware of it than I am, through the federal HUD program.
Second.
Pass it by acclamation.
Oh, sorry about that. Anyway, there is the people who are displaced, the renters who are displaced, there are funds available through the federal HUD program that not only provides money for help them relocate, but it also rent-free for up to 42 months. Hopefully there'll be some opportunities for some people to actually end up in a better place than they are currently. But in addition to that, some of these leaders at the Committee 100 have pledged to provide volunteer help for every single displaced family or individual to help apply for these funds. It means spending time down in the neighborhood, helping them get on computers, helping them take care of filling out the forms to make sure that they're taken care of. Because we really want this to be a win-win for everyone. And finally, the increased traffic with the addition of the Amazon distribution center plus other large companies that may follow makes this project an even greater priority, so we can divert traffic off North Market, downtown, and the Cross Lake Bridge. In closing, I'll say it's been a very gratifying experience for me, experiencing the tremendous support for this project across all race, political party lines, and zip codes. It really has validated that we as citizens who live and work in this parish, most every one of us, have so much more in common than we have differences. And this is one of the very few issues that allows us to demonstrate that, to stand together and make a difference for everyone in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yu. There's no questions.
Okay, thank you.
Next item, Mr. Clerk.
That brings us to visitors, which we have no scheduled visitors today, and so then we will move on to adopting regular session minutes. You have the regular session minutes from May 6, 2021.
Moved by Commissioner
regular
Gage
session.
White, second by Commissioner Atkins. I thought you said something.
Oh, Ms. Arpino submitted, so there were several people who submitted online public comments, and those were forwarded to all of you via email.
Oh, she's here
she
then.
is here in person, though, so I had forwarded your comment thinking you wanted it sent that way, but if you'd like to make a public comment, you can.
You can come up, yes.
My name is Anna Marie Arpino. I came to speak about I-49 today. For around 25 years, I have worked pro bono to get I-49 through, me and a business group together. In the 70s, a very fine medical physician raised $66,000 in the 70s for this project. I'm going to give you his name because I don't have the permission of his family right now. I was lucky enough and gifted enough to work with him in the early 90s when I started working with this group. There's 82 of us. 81 of us have a similar income amount, and we have a similar love for the city. I love this city and state so much. I ran for mayor and I also ran for state representative. When I was running, I was told, you will lose because you want I-49. I said, I'd rather lose. I want I-49. I want to get it out there. I explained then that the infrastructure of our water would fail. It did. We saw it this year. I explained the economic value of I-49 was almost $800 million. We're seeing it this year. I saw the logistics opportunity for us, and I expressed it, that large companies would come and give us thousands of jobs. And now we have Amazon and 2 others to come, hopefully. What I said is true when I ran for mayor, but you all had to see it first. Now I come here to ask you, please, please, let's get this last 3 miles through. When I was at the International Water Commission in 2018, the governor then sent his people up to talk to me while I was at the Water Commission meeting. Said, Anne-Marie, the money is there for I-49. Let's roll. Basically, I'm tired of the shell game. Now we're worried about money again. There's money. We need to get this done. We are harboring an area of this town, some fine folks that probably live there, and I'm sure do. But that area has not been prosperous for over 40 years. And you all know what I say, and I'm saying it correctly. This opportunity of it going through would make it a prosperous area to be for them and for us as a city. Please don't allow this to go over the bridge over Cross Lake. My father built that water supply for $400 million in 1955. It's the reason my father's here. My parents were here. My father's from Italy, and he finished Kansas City, finished $400 million in Cumberland, Maryland, and then came down to build City of Shreveport in 1955. Please don't make that wasted, all that work and money, by letting it be ruined by trucks going over there and toxic waste killing our water system. Right now, we have 82% of western states, right now, because of the drought. A lot of people open their waters, they can't get water. When they do, it's brown. Let's protect what we have. We have a good water system thanks to my father. I myself had Yarwick Construction Company from 1974 to 1981.
Your time has expired.
May I ask a little indulgence, please? Thank you.
2 minutes.
When I owned Yarwick in 1974 to 1981, I did $22 million of water and sewer a year for Caddo and Bossier, Manny, Farmerville. My lines are holding us up. But my youngest line right now is 1979 in my neighborhood at Allenby Road, Estates. And it's so since 79. We need I-49 through this city to make our city strong. We need to grow. We need some prosperity. We need Shreveport to be strong again. Here we have an opportunity, and we're playing shell game. I know the money's there. And the EISs have been done. I think this is number 6 in 25 years of working with this. Let's get this thing through. 3.5. My relatives went from Detroit, Michigan, took $1 million, I don't know how many millions are worth now, construction company, moved it from Detroit to Frisco, Texas, Dallas, Texas. They're the leading builder of highways in the state of Texas and still are today. They've been out there 15 years now. I've watched toll roads. I've watched large highways being built all over Texas that they do. And I mean millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars worth. And they're done and completed over and over and over and over again. And we can't get 3.27 miles of ours done in the city of Shreveport? Come on, folks. This is our city. We got to get behind it. We need I-49. We need it completed for the prosperity of our city, for the good of our city. And again, please do not let that go over our wonderful Cross Lake Bridge to hurt our water supply. Thank you, and thank you all.
Thank you.
So we go now to adopting the regular session minutes, and it was moved by Commissioner Gage Watts and seconded by Commissioner Atkins. Let's vote.
And that motion passes with 12 in support. and none in opposition. And that brings us to, so we've already done the special resolutions, so that brings us to the public hearing on zoning ordinances and cases, where we do have one item today. 9.1 is a public hearing for ordinance number 6064 of 2021 in relation to zoning case 21-5-P. It's an ordinance to amend Volume 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the Parish of Caddo as amended, the Caddo Parish Unified Development Code, by amending the zoning of property located on the north side of North Market Street, approximately 260 feet east of Roy Road Extension in Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from C1 Neighborhood Commercial District to C2 Corridor Commercial District, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Public hearing is now open for zoning ordinance 6064 2021. Seeing no public move forward to the podium, the public hearing is now closed.
All right, that brings us to public hearing on ordinances, and we have several here. Would you like me to go ahead and read them first?
Yes.
Okay. The public hearing for ordinance number 6065 of 2021 is an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the general fund for the year 2021 to provide an appropriation for a one-time pay adjustment to parish employees who performed essential work during the COVID-19 pandemic and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. The next item is a public hearing for ordinance number 6066 of 2021. It's an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the economic development and the oil and gas fund for the Juneteenth firework display and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Public hearing is now open for ordinances 6065 of 2021 and 6066 of 2021. Seeing no one, public hearing is now closed on those two ordinances.
Okay, that brings us to zoning ordinances for final passage, where we have ordinance 6064 of 2021, which is in relation to zoning case 21-5-P.
Move to adopt ordinance 6064 of 2021.
Second.
Moved by the chair, seconded by Commissioner Hopkins. I have nothing to say. It's basically a zoning change that would bring a chicken buffet to Highway 1.
A who?
A chicken buffet. I think it's Hertz.
Yeah.
Let's vote.
Guess I'll cross over Hearn Avenue.
Fried chicken
Reason to
barbecue
cross
chicken.
over Hearn Avenue then.
All right, that motion passes with 12 in support and none in opposition. And that brings us to ordinances for final passage. The first ordinance is ordinance number 6065 of 2021. It's an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the general fund for the year 2021 to provide an appropriation for a one-time pay adjustment to parish employees who performed essential work during the COVID-19 pandemic and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Gage Watts to adopt ordinance 6065 of 2021. Commissioner Jackson, you want to speak to your motion?
Just an opportunity, thank you, Mr. President, just an opportunity to show appreciation for the sacrifice and commitments that our employees have demonstrated throughout the pandemic. I know other agencies have moved forward with theirs. We did discuss making sure that this came out of American Rescue Plan dollars. I don't think it'll be done until July, but it just basically identifies and earmarks the dollars for that opportunity. And so, we did a great job kind of keeping the ship afloat during COVID-19. A lot of our parish employees were out there on the front lines, and I honestly felt like they got skipped over. Well, the parish as a whole got skipped over back during the CARES Act dollars, and so now we have an opportunity to make it right and do the same thing that other entities did for their employees. I thought we were going to attach the letters, but if we could send those letters out, that the sheriff, the school board, and the city of Shreveport.
I'm sorry, those were attached on your work session agenda.
Okay, they want to work, okay. So just wanted to make sure that this is something that all agencies have done. We're not doing anything different, and you know, our employees, I think they deserve this, and it's a good way to give them a pat on the back. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Teleferro.
Thank you, Mr. President. While I do appreciate all the efforts done through the days of COVID and everything in between by our employees, and I understand that a lot of the other agencies that you so mentioned, Commissioner Jackson, have done something similar. I just still have I have an issue with the adjustment part of it. I don't think there's anything being adjusted. It just sounds like we're giving our employees an additional stimulus check. But to my knowledge, unless I'm misunderstood, nobody's been furloughed, nobody's been fired, no one was laid off during COVID. Everyone primarily got, their salary. I know that Commissioner Chavez asked for some data to be provided by. Maybe there were some employees that had to use all of their sick time or all of their vacation time. I know that that was very cumbersome for me specifically to go through, and that I just don't see where there's the compensation, and just because everybody else is doing it, I just don't feel that there's a necessity for an extra stimulus check, regardless of the label that we put on it. Obviously, everyone knows that I'm a firm believer, and I do appreciate everything that our employees do. And I brag about the response time that our employees have, and the pride of the ethics and the workmanship that our employees perform. I just, the average Caddo employee, has been, I presume, unlike some of us, we're adequately, sent a stimulus check through the federal government. So obviously, we all would like a little extra money in our, in our paycheck. But at this time, I just on the one-time pay adjustment, I just don't see how, it's an adjustment to. I think it's just another stimulus package. Not that they wouldn't like it, and not that I wouldn't like giving it to them. But I don't see where anybody missed any kind of payroll or anything else going forward during COVID. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Hopkins.
Yeah, anybody that worked for me back when I ran fleet services knows I was pretty tough to get a raise out of, or any kind of money. But I watched a lot of our staff do things during that time that were way beyond what they usually do. And of course, not everybody did that, but you can't just pick people out and give a raise like this. It has to be across the board. And I think we're not doing anything different than the others. And I know we don't, just because somebody jumped off the cliff, you need to jump off. But there are people that really have earned that, and our employees, we've got some of the best. And I'm going to support this, and they all need to remember, this is Todd saying. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I'd like to say too that our employees did go beyond with the COVID testing. Our employees were out there at those sites, helping to set up, during the winter storms we had. Our employees were out there helping to set up water distribution sites. We also lost a couple employees due to COVID. And so by doing that, by having that happen, you could have an onslaught of all employees to say, well, I don't think it's safe for me to come to work. But they continue to come to work, and they continue to do their job to help the citizens of Caddo Parish. So I support this. Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. The corner box over there, the box seats, they don't normally get a lot of accolades. I'm talking about you, Dr. Wilson, and Donna Frazier, and Henry down there, and Crystal. The pandemic, as I was serving as the president, the corner box put their life in danger, and I saw you guys out there with the ones of us that were out there, and I think this is kind of cool. I think that I'm glad it's on here. I'm glad it's federal funds. It's not coming out of our pocket. I even spoke with a commissioner that's on this horseshoe this morning, and he's a staunch conservative. I feel you guys can all figure out which one, but he said, man, all this federal money, I kind of feel like we're going to get left out if we don't give some of this away because somebody else is going to take it. I said, man, you may be going to the other side. He said, nah. So I know he'll be supporting this too. So I'm glad you guys will get this, and it's much deserved. Thanks for what you guys did for the citizens of Caddo Parish last year. Thank you, President.
Okay, Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I share many of Commissioner Talafero's views. My first intuition was not to go along with this one-time pay increase. However, upon reflection, I realized, one, these are federal dollars, and there is like it or not, there's a push in the federal government to get dollars out into the community, out into the economy. And if they're going to push it into the economy, I want to make sure that Caddo Parish gets our proportionate share of that. And secondly, we're looking at providing a compensation, a piece of compensation and gratitude for work done and work that's continued to being done. This is not a stimulus for work that's not being done. So we're thanking our staff for the hard work that they've done over the last year and the work they'll do into the future. So I'll support it as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Cawthorn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think that fundamentally in any community, the working men and women of any community are the backbone of the community. And particularly here in Shreveport, where we are by and large a working class community. And so I'm in favor of this, and I'm in favor of the one-time consideration. I've also been a critic of trickle-down economics, but in 2021, I've actually seen some economics trickle down. So I applaud the men and women of Caddo Parish, and once again, I will be voting for this. Thank you, Mr. President.
Seeing no one else, let's vote.
And that motion carries with 11 in support and 1 in opposition. And that brings us to ordinance number 6066 of 2021. It's an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Economic Development and the Oil and Gas Fund for the Juneteenth fireworks display and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Move to approve.
Moved by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by who?
Second.
Second.
Commissioner Epperson.
Okay.
I heard it was muffled when I heard it. Commissioner Jackson, you want to speak on your motion?
Yes. Is this what we need to do, the amendment? I'd like to do an amendment to add an additional $10,000 to this and take the entire amount from the American Rescue Plan, or should I say take it or bill it or fund it through the American Rescue Plan.
Second.
And now do I speak?
Yeah, you can speak.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. So we had a call yesterday, and we did realize that the amount that we have right now is too low. The firework display, the cost is up, as well as to do the marketing aspect that needs to be done with that network. And so because this is economic development, it's also community development. The team is also they're going to talk about and promote COVID-19 vaccination. The site is even going to serve as a vaccination site for a couple of days as well. The demographic that's being targeted that typically comes to this festival is the demographic, age demographic that has not been vaccinated at the right amount. And so they are working to add in COVID vaccination, so this would qualify, and we talked with the administration about this, would qualify under the American Rescue Plan. So it would be a neutral impact to the direct impact to the oil and gas fund, or we would be able to reimburse ourselves from that American Rescue Plan dollars. So, thank you.
Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do support this too, and I think I made comments before on the Juneteenth. Well, it says Independence Day Festival, but Juneteenth itself has gained a lot of recognition, and it has become, I guess, more familiar with a lot of people from from an economic development standpoint, because being able to sell fireworks during the period of Juneteenth to July 1st can create additional jobs for young people in the fireworks area, if nothing else. Plus, it will educate the public on why Juneteenth is important, not only to African Americans, but to this nation. I've asked the administration, I think well, at least twice, to research the state law that does provide an opportunity for Caddo Parish to extend the days, and I haven't heard anything yet back from them. So I'm asking for the third time. Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. I was going to ask the same thing that Commissioner Burrell asked, so my only request would be on the purchase of the fireworks. I know I can't add this as an amendment, but I'd like to see a local company be the procurer of those fireworks.
I think that is the preference. Where did Erica go?
Okay.
It is local, right?
Yeah, I think they are local.
Perfect. Okay, that's all I'd like to see is local money spent here. Thank you, President.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to do a friendly amendment to the language where it says Roll Mega Chapter of Omega Psi Phi or Roll Mega, that it says Roll Mega and Friends Incorporated, because it's two different organizations, two different bodies.
Yeah. Oh, second.
Huh?
We was talking, whatever.
So I want to make a friendly amendment to
Yeah.
it to say
Roll
where
Mega
it
and
says
Friends.
Roll Mega Chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity or Roll Mega, that it would be Roll Mega and Friends Incorporated,
Right.
because there's two different bodies.
Right.
Okay, that's all. Did I get a second on that?
Yeah, second. I second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to add that friendly amendment to it. Seeing no one else on the board, let's vote.
This is on the amendment, right?
Well, yeah, on the amendment. On the amendment
Motion
and
as-
your amendment.
Okay.
Motion as amended.
Yeah. It's on the two amendments. All right, so now we'll vote on it as amended.
And that motion, by the way, for the amendments did, just for the record, it did pass 11 in support, none in opposition.
Okay.
One out.
You have to vote as it was amended.
And that motion carries with 11 in support, none in opposition, and one absent. And that brings us to zoning ordinances for introduction by title, of which we have none today. So we'll continue on to ordinances for introduction by title. We do have about 5 ordinances for introduction by title today. And I'll start. Ordinance number 6067 of 2021 is an ordinance to amend Volume 2 of the Code of Ordinances of the Parish of Caddo as amended the Caddo Parish Unified Development Code to establish the provisions for special exception use and otherwise provide with respect thereto. The next item is to introduce ordinance number 6068 of 2021. It's an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund in the amount of $17,225 to provide an appropriation for Robinson Rescue and otherwise provide with respect thereto. The next item is to introduce ordinance number 6069 of 2021. It's an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the E. Edward Jones Housing Trust Fund for the year 2021 and otherwise provide with respect thereto. The next item is to introduce ordinance number 6070 of 2021. An ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the general fund to provide an appropriation for wheelchair ramp and roof repair program and otherwise provide with respect thereto. And the final item in this section is to introduce ordinance number 6071 of 2021. It's an ordinance to establish a parish planning and zoning commission to provide for its membership and to provide for an effective date and otherwise provide with respect thereto. And that brings us to work session minutes, where we do have the work session minutes from May 17th, 2021.
So moved.
Who made the motion? Okay, moved by Commissioner Carter, second by Commissioner Burrell to adopt the work session minutes from May 17, 2021. Let's vote.
And that motion passes with 10 in support, none in opposition, and 2 absent. And that brings us to resolutions, where the first resolution is resolution number 43 of 2021, a resolution to authorize the acceptance of the Louisiana Compliance Questionnaire.
Move to approve.
Moved by Commissioner Atkins, second by Commissioner Carton, to approve resolution 43 of 2021. Commissioner Atkins, you want to speak to your motion?
This is coming through finance. I've reviewed it. It all appears to be active and reflective of our situation. I think we go ahead and approve it and move forward.
Okay, Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes, I'd like to substitute motion to move resolution 43, 44, and 45 in globo and approve.
Second.
Then moved by Commissioner Hopkins, seconded by Commissioner Lazarus, to englobo and approve resolutions 43, 44, and 45. Commissioner Hopkins, you want to speak to that motion?
No, sir.
Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. I know we would probably had a little more conversation on I-49. A lot was said here today, but I'd like to see, it sounds like from all the communication, the holdup is on a federal level. I'd like to see that resolution printed out and for the commissioners that would like to sign it, and then we see it get put in the mail to go to Congressman Johnson so they get the fill, and then we don't leave this alone, that we keep pushing this. If they get inundated with mail every 4 or 6 months, every quarter, eventually they'll probably act on it because they'll say these guys are not going to leave us alone. So I'd like to see something like that happen. That's all. Thank you, President.
Okay, because this is actually the second resolution you've sent. Commissioner Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since this is in globo for several things, I just wanted to point out I'm going to be voting no, not because I don't support either of the first two things, but my constituents and many other people have raised concerns to me about the inner city connector and the ability of us to pay for long-term maintenance for big projects like this, the advisability of them for the long term. And so I'm just not resolved that we should do it, so I'm just going to vote no. But that's why. Thank you very much.
Okay. Commissioner Telefaro.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I know that when Mr. Robertson spoke, I'm familiar. Well, I heard about the $1 million. I think he said $1 million. The money that was moved from the Jimmy Davis Bridge project and transferred to the I-49 project. I'd like a little bit more information. I believe that that's true, and I don't know if there's. I don't know how to go about moving or asking for that money to be moved back from the I-49 fund to the Jimmy Davis fund. Any of us that have crossed that Jimmy Davis Bridge know very well that it's falling apart. So, I don't know the proper procedure to honor Mr. Robertson's request, but I'm just kind of throwing it out there, Mr. President.
Okay. Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In conjunction with the Jimmy Davis Bridge, it is my understanding, and I had talked to Senator Peacock when we were down there at the police jury conference, and he said that the Jimmy Davis Bridge is still in the budget. It is in capital outlay. So this idea of taking money from somewhere, that was a decision made by our delegation, but it did not deplete any monies or resources for the Jimmy Davis Bridge. I understand it's still in capital outlay.
Okay. Thank you.
Dr. Wilson.
Yes, sir. Mr. President Johnson, we had an call meeting this morning, and the state is already taking steps to move forward with the engineering design on Jimmy Davis Highway Bridge replacement. And I believe the $100 million did not come from the Jimmy Davis Bridge project, because that was only $50 million a few years ago. I think they got it out of the unfunded, unclaimed funds. They were leveraging that for the $100 million. I might be wrong, but I'll check. But there was no transfer of funds from one to the other. And the efforts that, as Ken Rogers said earlier today, was failed in the legislature a few weeks ago with respect to trying to move money from that inner city project to the Jimmy Davis Bridge, and that failed. So it's moving on, it's going to be designed, and the state will have to come up with the money to build a new bridge. Okay? But it's moving forward.
It's okay.
Okay, Commissioner Burrell, second time.
I was just going to say, Mr. Chairman, I've dealt with these issues, I guess, for 12 years down there. I know how some games are played in terms of putting out to the public that somehow you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, but in this case, that is not the case. And Dr. Wilson, I believe you're correct on that. I know that is something that Senator Peacock relayed to me.
Yes, sir.
So again, we're not in competition. Many times we want to do that, but it's not necessary in this case. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Seeing no one else, let's vote on the issue. Commissioner Cawthorn, you need to vote.
I did.
Well, you got to push it.
It might be froze.
Thank you, sir.
All right, that motion passes with 9 in support and 1 in opposition and 2 absent. And that brings us to the next item, which is old business. We have no old business scheduled for today, so we'll continue on to new business, where we have several items. 18.1 is to confirm the appointment to the Metropolitan Planning Commission Board, authorizing the appointment of Mr. Gabriel Balderas to the Metropolitan Planning Commission Board to replace the unexpired term of Mauricio Roca.
So moved.
Second.
Who made that motion?
Mr. Young.
Oh, moved by Commissioner Young, seconded by Commissioner Chavez. It's fiberglass. Can't hold it here.
Yes.
Commissioner Young, you want to speak to your motion?
Just briefly, thank you. I spoke a little bit about Mr. Balderas at our work session. I think he would be a great member of the MPC, and he's eager to serve for whatever term it turns out is allowed by our procedures. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no one else, let's vote.
And that motion passes with 10 in support, none in opposition, and 2 absent. And that brings us to the next item, to confirm appointment to the Long Range Planning Citizens Advisory Committee, authorizing the appointment of Mr. Lloyd K. Thomas to the Long Range Planning Citizens Advisory Committee to study planning and zoning.
Move to global. I can hear that.
Global and adopt.
Move to global.
And adopt.
18.2. Well, let me just give the name. Lloyd K. Thomas, Major General, Ray Tyndall, Don Brzezinski, Mike Billings, Sr., and Mr. Tullis.
Second. Jessica Tullis.
It's been moved by Commissioner Burrell to englobo and adopt 18.2, 18.3, 18.4, 18.5, 18.6, 18.7, and it's been seconded by Commissioner Cawthorn. Commissioner Burrell, you want to speak to your motion?
Also, I think these, looking at their resumes, they would be a great asset to this long-range planning advisory committee.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson?
Are any of these people here?
No.
Is Mr. Balderas here? I know we approved him, but is he here?
No, we've
So we
already
didn't-
passed down.
So there was no expectation that they would come down. Y'all know my spiel. And I just hope that we would extend the same courtesy and respect going forward on any other appointment. Thank you, Mr. President.
Let's vote.
Commissioner Hopkins, Commissioner Cawthorn, Commissioner
Yeah, I'm
Emerson.
gonna check this machine over here.
And that motion passes with 11 in support, none in opposition, and 1 absent. And that brings us to communiques and committee reports.
Commissioner Chavez?
Thank you, President. Is this underneath information request from commissioners? From the, yeah, okay. Dr. Wilson or Attorney Fraser, the MPC, I know we're working on the stuff with the zoning. I had a question, and because a couple people have asked me, I don't know the clear definition. Does the MPC fall underneath the city, or are they their own political subdivision?
Commissioner, they fall underneath the city. Or until the end of the year, they fall underneath the city and the parish. And then
I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry, Attorney
until
Fraser.
the end of the year, they fall underneath the city and the parish. primarily the city, and then at the end of this year, they'll fall underneath the city.
So right now, legally, they're underneath the city and the parish?
Basically, the city takes care of all of their administrative needs, but they fall under the city and the parish to the extent that they handle ordinances, zoning ordinances for both the city and the parish. And then their decisions are appealable to the parish for areas outside of the planning limits and appealable to the city for areas within the city limits.
But come January 2022, they're directly under the city, and that's it, nothing to do with us, unless we contract with them?
Correct.
Okay, that clears that up. For long range, we're looking at having a meeting on the June the 3rd. So, Mr. Everson, will you see what time before our regular legislative session meeting that we have time for everybody that's on the agenda to be there? Preferably 2 o'clock if need be. Moving on, last week we went to the Police Jury Association. For all the guys that got to go down there, it was a good time. It was nice being back down there in Baton Rouge. Went to a couple different committee meetings, criminal juvenile justice, emergency preparedness, and broadband development. It was nice to see all the other parishes that attended. Dr. Wilson, the level of experience and readiness that our parish was from maybe the lack thereof of some other parishes. So I know that we went through the pandemic last year and went through the storms and whatnot, and as they spoke on emergency preparedness, it sounds like our parish is well on the forefront of being prepared for what's going on. But it is nice to go down there to get the climate of what's going on. Of course, we did our ethics and sexual harassment training. Don't want to steal a lot of our president's thunder, but our own president was named the president of the Black Caucus for the state of Louisiana, so that was cool, and congratulations to LBJ. Other than that, thank you. That's all, President.
Okay. Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Wilson, I have a request. I have a request here, and I'm sure I'm going to pass it over to the Economic Development Committee, our chairman, being Commissioner Carlton, from the LSU Health Science Center. They are undertaking a project of testing wastewater for SARS and COVID. I thought it was an interesting development that they're doing over there, because, you know, we've had issues with trying to test individuals, but this is a new, I guess it's a new project or experiment. I mean, it has been done elsewhere, but we're just now doing it here, and they will be testing wastewater. So I have a document, because I needed to do some research on it, and it has some best practices in it, and so I will be passing that over to you, in which I'm sure eventually we'll be passing it to our Economic Development Chairman. They're requesting $50,000 from the Caddo Parish Commission to help with this wastewater testing. Community Foundation has already awarded them $100,000. So they're looking for matching funds. So hopefully the city will also match us to help with this project.
Yeah, Commissioner Burrell, one of the areas of funding for the American Rescue Plan is wastewater, sewage treatment, and water issues. So,
well, that should fall within that category.
Yes, sir, it does. It sounds like it to me.
We should be able to be reimbursed if necessary, is what I understand.
Yes, sir, it does.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Commissioner Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to make a few comments to the public about our infrastructure discussion today. We've been talking about roads and how they could bring more economic development. We've been talking about a very short, very expensive road. It might turn out to be a good bet, and it might not, but it is a very big bet. There are a lot of smaller bets that we can make around our existing infrastructure that could conceivably benefit us more per dollar by a large magnitude. One of them has been brought to my attention recently is the I-20 Greenwood Road project. It's in, I think, Commissioner Epperson's district. Bert Coon's dead ends at I-20 and makes a loop and goes under I-20 instead of anywhere else. It's impossible to use a large pre-certified LED site that's sitting there waiting to have a big distribution facility of the type that we've all been daydreaming about. And that's on an existing interstate ready to be used with a investment that's, I think, something along the lines of $5 million for an access road instead of something like 200 times that. So I just wanted to make that point, and that's all. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
All right, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Something's causing an allergic reaction up here or something. He's sneezing and my eyes have been watering since I've been up here. So I don't know what's up. Mr. Clark, I got an email. You don't have to come up. I got an email from the folks in Cedar Grove, Commissioner Cawthorn, about a neighborhood participation meeting or something.
Tonight at 6.
Tonight at 6. Some of them expressed that they, on Google Hangout, some of them expressed that they may not be able to functionally work a Google Hangout. Ms. Orhard and those citizens there. And I guess they are asking if y'all would consider some type of in-person. So if Ms. Orhard is listening, if Pastor Jones is listening, I've passed that on to the MPC for consideration. If y'all could do something more in person, because they do feel that they have more citizens who want to have input on that, but they're not going to be able, their functionality, and I'm not saying or belittling them, but just due to their age, they don't feel that they're going to be doing a Google, is it Google Chat or Google something? Google
Zoom
Hangout.
option on that too.
Yeah, Google Hangout. I think, they prefer more in person, kind of like what we may have did in the North Shreveport area. So I'll pass that on to you. I'm sure y'all will take it and do what you can with it. The Pandemic and Disaster Committee and Commissioner Burrell, I got that letter from Dr. Terry Davis. Jeff, I believe that's the letter we've been. So she sent that letter to me as well. I had added it as something, but I did tell her that, the hospital is in, the medical school is in your district, so she needed to at least reach out to you first, and then, but if you wanted to go to economic, either way, it doesn't matter. But she did reach out, so just let us know what direction you want to go in. I don't want to get ahead of the representative for that area. But the Pandemic Committee, we're going to host some public hearings. I'm going to try to get over to the city's public hearing today. I talked to Dr. Wilson about this, talked to Jeff about it. And I talked to the commissioners in that area, except for Ed yet. But we're going to host some public hearings in those regions, in the parish areas, as the parish has to submit they have to submit sort of a strategic action plan on how they're going to spend the federal dollars. And so I don't want to duplicate what the city is doing in the city limits. And so our areas will focus on the sort of Greenwood, Bethany, and those West Shreveport unincorporated areas. I see Commissioner Gage Watts coming in. I know she's in an area in West Shreveport that's in an unincorporated area. So that area, and then one for North Shreveport, North Caddo. And I sent those dates to the clerk, and then one in South Caddo, Ed, John, and I think Mario, you got a little bit of that southern tip. So if y'all could help, if they want to have one, we don't have to, but I don't want anybody to say that they did not have an opportunity to. So the first one is May 24th at Bill Cockrell. May 24th at Bill Cockrell, and Commissioner Epperson has already secured the location and done the due diligence with that. He'll be the host commissioner for that, and the committee will meet at 6 p.m. There. It's not going to be a whole lot of stuff going on, but I sent the information to the clerk, and again, we want to just simply give the rural and outside the city limits area an opportunity. And Dr. Wilson, we may need to make sure that staff is attending those City of Shreveport meetings so that as we develop our plan, we're able to capture, because I really and truly don't want to have to do, or hope the parish wouldn't do another 6 to 8, 10 meetings.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it just doesn't make sense. So if we could just attend those meetings and capture that information from those meetings, and then that would just leave us to do the 3 rural or unincorporated areas. Congratulations to our president, President Johnson, for being elected chairman of the Black Caucus for the police jury. For folks who have not had an opportunity to go to our NACO or our state association events, it is an opportunity to get down there, network, but also make sure that resources in Caddo parishes are represented in a effective way. And so you can't learn anything sitting here. I know Zoom has opened us up to the world, but nothing beats getting out and making sure that we have representation, face-to-face representation in those areas. So again, congratulations to President Johnson for that particular piece. That wraps up my comments for today, Mr. President. Thank you.
Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to let my colleagues and other interested parties know that the Audit and Finance Committee has a meeting scheduled for June 14th at 2 p.m. in the first floor conference room here. And actually, I'm not sure of the venue yet. It may Postal Way Netterville may be remaining in Baton Rouge, but please mark your calendars for June 14th at 2 p.m. for Audit and Finance, and we'll get the details on the location at a later date. Thank you. That's it, Mr. President.
All right, Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to go back and redress something that Commissioner Jackson stated based upon that request I had just made. I just wanted to, you said that you'll be taken into the pandemic committee. Does the pandemic committee just make a recommendation for funding, or you all have money that you can fund it? I don't care.
We make a recommendation. Our goal is to come back to the full body with a consolidated recommendation for pandemic-related expenses. But again, if that's, wherever I'm deferring to you as a commissioner for that area on where you want to send it.
Well, I normally like to follow protocol. If the protocol is to go to your committee and you make a recommendation, I have no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing, Mr.
I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you.
No, I say if the protocol is that something of this nature goes to your committee.
I don't know that there
And then
is.
it comes out as a
I think it's really truly
recommendation. I have
wherever
no
the
problem.
president. But like I said, she reached out to me, and I just referred her back to you.
Well, I just know her, and she knows that the hospital is in my district, and I'm
Yeah,
sure that's probably the reason why she did it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where it goes. I don't think it matters which committee it goes to.
We'll work that out, Mr. Chairman. We don't have to worry about that.
Appreciate it.
The second comment that I'm going to make, since I have the floor, is that we've been working on trying to bring the sickle cell anemia softball tournament back to, back after the pandemic. It creates a lot of economic development for our area, around $2 million for that weekend, if not more. And I just want to throw that out. That would be July 19th, no, July 10th. In other words, it's Friday through Sunday. If Friday falls on the 9th, or it would be 9th, 10th, and 11th, or otherwise it'd be 10th, 11th, and 12th. Just want to throw that out, Mr. Chairman, early on.
Okay. Done?
Done, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Caddo.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I want to chime in on what Commissioner Chavez said as it relates to the Police Jury Association that we was at. It was very informative. As a matter of fact, John just mentioned Port Worth and Nettleville. They did an excellent presentation as it relates to the American Rescue Dollars and some of the audit functions. Some of the audit function that goes along with that. And they kind of broke out the big overarching themes of how you make a plan for your money. We was able to have some conferences with people that talked about dredging, at that conference, we need to do some dredging at the red here, and very, very innovative. You know, very well time spent going to it. It wasn't a waste of time at all. Secondly, I want to also congratulate our president, Lyndon Johnson, for becoming president of the Black Caucus. And I think that leadership positions exist in Caddo, even at the Police Jurors Association. I had a chance to run for the third vice president, and the guy I was running against had campaigned for a year. And so I guess I did a rousing speech and wound up, for a guy that had campaigned for a year, I wound up only losing by 2 votes, which lets me know if we had campaigned for 6 months in the law of large numbers, we probably could have won that. So I want to encourage people to participate.
As long as you're saying the right thing.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So it was a real great event. And I also want to offer condolences to a world famous comedian who was born in Shreveport, Louisiana, Paul Mooney, who died at the age of 79 of a heart attack. Thank you, Mr. President.
Dr. Wilson.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I know I gave a recap on Monday of the various projects we're working on. There's no change in any of those projects. Things are moving forward. I just want to make you aware that we did receive the first tranche of the $23.3 million, which is in the bank now. So we'll expect another payment around the same time next year if to stay on schedule. And we did receive 150 pages worth of instructions on that American Rescue Fund money as well. So it's quite detailed, and we will have to submit a strategic action plan on how we're going to use it. Okay. All right, and also, should I address the policy changes pending with respect to the masks? You will cover that?
I was going to cover it. But
okay, then that's fine. I'll yield to you on that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Next item.
Next item is the President's report.
Thank you. I'll start off with the Louisiana Police Jurors Association meeting that we went to. It was a very informative meeting. Some of the main concerns and subjects were broadband accessibility. I think I learned more from AT&T, a marketing person, than I did sitting through the the workshop that they had. She kind of broke it down to how Caddo Parish is going to be working to get broadband throughout the parish. She also informed me about the money we just approved with the 911 and the fire department. They actually had that software sitting out there, and she explained to me how it works in great detail. The second topic that was a hot button was the American Rescue Plan. Pretty much every police juror across the state was trying to find out more information about that, and we did have a presentation on the American Rescue Plan. And it seems that the ad hoc committee of the American Rescue Plan, the steps that we're trying to follow, is the same steps that they laid out in the meeting. So I would want to say that we need to stick to those steps that we're actually doing on that part. Also, I want to congratulate Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts, as she was also elected the Vice President of the Black Caucus. And want to let everybody know that the Black Caucus covers 64 parishes in the state of Louisiana. So every parish has the opportunity to have representatives in the Black Caucus. Commissioner Lynn talked about the dredging of the red. Actually, there was a contractor there that actually has equipment that can actually dredge the red. We talk about infrastructure issues. One of them is flooding. We already know that. Early winter, the water rises a lot, and then we start having flooding around the MLK area, around the area that Commissioner Jackson represents over there in Agers. You also start having problems in Commissioner Young's area as well. There's basically 2 fixes to it. Either make the Red River deeper, or you build a new lock and dam north of Caddo Parish. And then all that would do is flood the farmland that's north of Caddo Parish. The next Police Jury Association meeting will be in Lake Charles in March of 2022. And it will be pretty much more attended than the one that was in Baton Rouge. One thing that I would like Dr. Wilson and your staff to look at is digital COVID-19 vaccine cards. That's something that is being pushed in some different counties. It's a software basically you can log on to and put information in that will produce a digital vaccine card for some people, especially if they're doing a lot of traveling or having to show that they've been vaccinated. And I can get you some more information on that if y'all need it. There will be a American Rescue committee meeting May 27th. I want to say about 3 o'clock, if that's good for everyone. It seems that we're having kind of duplication of requests from 2 committees. So I'll probably be ending the Pandemic and Natural Disaster Committee, ad hoc committee, and shifting that more towards the American Rescue. And the last thing is based upon the governor's latest update on masks. Government buildings are now exempt from people from wearing masks, but what we'll still do is we'll still have people to wear masks in large gatherings inside of the building, especially the citizens that come in, that they will still continue to wear masks sitting in the chamber.
Yeah, President Johnson.
One other announcement.
President Johnson?
Yes.
We'll be sending out a letter to all of the commissioners and staff tomorrow concerning that matter.
Right, because that takes effect Monday.
Yes, sir. And this building, I read the city's draft today. They pushing for the end of today.
Okay.
So, and I was making
Yeah,
my
we had
suggestion
talked
about Monday.
Yeah.
Next week.
Right. Okay. The ladies of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated will host Blessed Infant Drive. This event is Saturday, May 22nd, 11 a.m. Cradle Fun Daycare at 3648 Jackson Street, Shreveport, Louisiana. Citizens of infants 0 to 12 months will receive a care package that includes diapers, wipes, bibs, onesies, socks, while supplies last. Additional information can be got by contacting Kay Proby Walker at 318-617-6315. And that will complete the President's report.
Okay.
Commissioner Jackson is on board.
Yes. Mr. President, did I hear you say you're going to be ending the pandemic committee?
Yes.
Okay, so the time that we have put in working on this committee has been for what?
For all the work that you've already done.
And so we're in the middle of having public meetings and we're just gonna have the rug pulled out from under us?
Well, Commissioner Jackson, if you would communicate with me about those meetings, then we could have talked about that.
Right.
And at that point, I would have told you, but that was the first time I heard about the meetings was just now.
Well, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, I don't know, I've been on this body for 6 years now, and I've never heard of a committee chairman getting permission to have a meeting. Do you do that, Commissioner Chavez, when you call it? So, I mean, I'm just following the same structure that we've always had. What I will be doing is asking Attorney Frazier is that we bring forward some legislation that would make the Pandemic and Disaster Committee a ad hoc committee of this body, from the body, creating a meeting, as opposed to it being subject to the will of the president. Because we have been working, and I value my time and I value the time of the people on that committee. And we've been endeavoring to do this work, and now all of a sudden it comes to a screeching halt because of one person. I don't.
Well, as the president, I have the authority by the bylaws
You
to do
absolutely
that.
do.
And so,
And as a
doing
member,
that, if you have communicated with me, you communicated with other members of the committee about the meetings that you planning on having.
I didn't communicate with anybody.
You've already said that you communicated with other
I
members
talked.
of the.
I said what I said was I talked to Commissioner Epperson because it was in his district. I haven't talked to Commissioner John Paul Young. I didn't talk to Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts. I communicated to Commissioner Epperson because his area is outside of the city limits. I communicated to Commissioner Hopkins because his area is not in the city limits. I hadn't had a chance to communicate, but I intended to communicate to Commissioner Lazarus. I work a full-time job just like many people around here. And so when I move away from that to come do this work, I take it serious.
Well, Commissioner Jackson, believe it or not, I have areas outside the city limits too.
Well,
and I haven't been approached yet about it. So therefore, I'm just saying, we're doing duplicates of services to our administration. So you asking them for stuff, I'm asking
So the committee
for
that
stuff
you made after the fact.
because it's an American Rescue Plan, which is totally
Okay,
different from
that's fine.
the pandemic.
I got the floor. I'll be asking us to consider a resolution or ordinance to create that as an ad hoc committee so that the committee members who have been engaged, who have been spending their time endeavoring to do this work can continue to do their work. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, I'm also on that same committee, so I know the amount of work that the committee does. Next item. Oh, Commissioner Carter.
Just a clarification. The American Rescue Committee meeting on the 27th at 3 p.m.
Yes.
Virtual or in the body?
In the chamber.
Okay, thanks.
Next item.
So that, we have communicates and committee reports, but I think we've already kind of covered that
Yes.
correctly. So the next item is citizens' comments, late arrivals, where citizens who wish to address the commission on an issue other than zoning are asked to fill out a comment card
I have
in the
none.
chamber foyer and return to the president or clerk, where comments will be limited to 3 minutes. I've not received any.
I don't.
That would be, the next item then would be adjournment.
Mr. President, motion for adjournment. Don't worry about it.
I wrote you back, but I looked and I was not sure if I sent what I wrote you back.